Welcome to class. Today we'll focus on Vanasana and a few poses for the digestive system, as fall is a great time to support the large intestine and the lung meridian as well. So we'll focus on the gut today. So find your way onto your mat with pillows and props nearby in case you want them. Some worn, comfy clothes. Let's roll the wrists and ankles. So before we begin, and breathe here. Reverse. And then take a long body stretch. Reach those arms overhead, long fingertip to toes. We give the fingers and toes a little wiggle. Then stretch your right side long and then your left side. Just alternate here. Preparing for Vanasana. Breathe into those lungs. Vanasana is great for gallbladder, but also just opens up the intercostals, that lung region. And then pause. Ha. And from here, take your legs over toward the left-hand side on an arc. Same thing with those arms. It's like you're in a banana shape or a crescent moon shape. This doesn't have to be very far. Length before curve. Hips are down, shoulders grounded as much as able. And you might be able to walk those feet out a little further. So find, on a scale of 1 to 10, about a 3 to a 5 in sensation, with the option to cross that right leg over the left one to intensify and clasp that right wrist. And then we'll stay here for about 5 minutes. Opportunity to breathe into the right side. Let the breath stretch the intercostals. Where do you feel this most? Just notice. Perhaps you sense this more in the ribs and the side of the waist. Or draw your attention to that right shoulder. Right upper arm. Lower right arm. Maybe you even sense this in the hand. All the way to the fingertips. From fingertips to the hand, especially the side of the hand. To that upper arm, that forearm. And trail your attention to the upper arm. Shoulder. ribs, waist, and hip. Down the outside of that right leg. Upper leg. Lower leg. Outside of that ankle. Maybe even into the foot. Sense that arc from foot all the way to the fingertips. Notice in the silent moments if your attention wanders. You can bring it back to the breath or that right side sensation as it shifts, evolves. A few more breaths here. Perhaps as you wiggle the jaw. More inhale. And exhale to uncross that right leg if it was crossed. And unclasp the hands. And slowly shift the legs, the arms back to neutral. If you crave movement, take it. Or in yin, we try to cultivate stillness, perhaps. Try to be still. Notice that right side of the body. On the left side. Right side. Left side. Both halves together. As those arms are turned to your sides, if not already there. And from here, hug that right knee into the chest when relieving pose. Pause here for a time. Around 10 of my breaths, could be anywhere from 10 to 20 of yours, depending on your pace. My breath pattern is quite long. Feel free on the inhale to release a little. On the exhale to squeeze perhaps a little more. Or stay with steady stillness. More fitting with yin. But again, I like to find freedom wherever I am. Not necessarily follow any particular rules, but just what gives me space. Do what will support you. So that you can fulfill your purpose. And be present for your life. A little longer here. Perhaps one more breath. Then we'll hug both knees into the chest just for a moment. And then extend that left leg. Lengthen that right leg up to the sky, just for a little release here, the knee bend. And then rebend that knee. Take that left hand across the body to support that right leg as it lulls over to the left. And we come into a rotation. Could be neutral with that left leg long. Could also bend that bottom leg and clasp for the foot. Or both knees stacked, maybe even with a bolster between the knees. Here, I'll show that variation. I always like people to see lots of options because your body doesn't have to be in the same shape as someone else's to focus on the same target area. So here's another option. Leg long, look like this. The top thigh lean over the bolster. Experience the compression on that right-hand side. You massage your organs with your breath. With that spiral, this rotated body. Where do you feel this? Sense that right lung. Waist. Right upper leg. Outer right leg. Wraps into the foot. And then sweep your attention from the foot through the calf or lower leg, through the outer right leg, into that glute, up through the torso. Extend your awareness through that right shoulder and right arm. And then see if you can sense that whole right side for just a few more breaths.
or inhale. Then exhale to roll onto that left side. So left side's down. Both knees hug in this little fetal position. And then roll onto the back. The knees hugged in. Transverse colon for a few breaths. Anywhere from 5 to 10. Last inhale. And exhale. From here, that right leg can lengthen, or the foot can plant, as we extend the left leg to the sky just for a moment. Then bend that knee and give it a hug. We won't do everything in the same order on this side, just be aware. I haven't forgotten about the Banasana on this side. Hug this left leg in. About 10 to 20 breaths or so. And that slight release and that slight pull in with the breath. It's an option. Or inhale here. And exhale to lengthen that leg out, long body stretch. And we'll move into the Banasana before that rotation. So move the legs to the right and the arms toward the right on an arc. Yeah. As much or as little arc as you wish. Hips grounded, shoulders heavy. Perhaps cross left ankle, clasp that same wrist. Maybe bring it a little deeper. And 5 minutes here. Breathe into those left ribs. Take up some space. Let yourself expand. While you explore the borders of your body. Sense yourself here on the floor. And that ebb and flow of the breath. From the ribs, trace your awareness to that left shoulder. Maybe even inside the shoulder joint. And move to that upper arm. And up to that left forearm. Feel its length, the tissues uncoil. That wrist and left hand as it reaches a little further, even into the fingertips. Feel that length as you trace from fingers, hand, forearm, left upper arm, return to the shoulder. Another inhale takes you back into the ribs on the left side. And into that waist. Left outer hip. Into that outer thigh. Right T-band. With the outer knee. And the outer lower leg. Into the space in the ankle joint. That outer foot. See how much of the foot you can sense here. Far does your awareness reach? And back up the outside of the foot. The ankle. Lower leg. Upper leg. Into that hip. Feel things unwind, hydrate the tissues. Into the waist. And back to your breath, to the lungs. Sense that whole left side, fingertips to toes. So perhaps wave your attention up and down the side of the body. One more inhale. And exhale. Ha. as you unravel the legs and the clasped hand and slide or walk the legs back to center just as you need here. It's long body stretch. Before we circle those arms and hug that right knee in again. And this time, take that right hand across and pull that leg over. If you need a bolster, you might grab that first and put it on the far side, that right side, and bring the left leg to it. Or again, could have both knees hugged in and let them drape to the right and have the bolster perhaps between the thighs over to the side. So choose your variation. And cattail is still an option. I know I mentioned it on the other side. If you did so on the other side, that right leg could bend and you could clasp for the foot. You could still have the bolster under the top leg, or the leg could be draped. So many options. Take your gaze where you will. And breathe again into the top side, those lungs. And you extend, especially the exhale. The compression on the spleen and stomach. So you breathe into it. And then move that awareness perhaps to that left top glute. That left outer leg. Outside of the knee. Outside of the lower leg. Maybe you can sense this in the ankle, the outer foot, maybe even into the sole of the foot. Again, how much of the foot can you sense? Before you sweep your awareness to the outer foot and ankle, the outer lower leg, through the upper leg, glute and hip, into the waist, back into that left lung. Let it spread to the left shoulder, upper arm, lower arm, and into the fingertips. Reach that arm a little longer. And from the hand to the forearm, to the upper arm, to the shoulder and back to center. Where you spread your awareness to the entirety of the left side. Best you can. Use your imagination. One more inhale. And then exhale, as you roll into that right side. Heart side up. Breathe here. And maybe stay here for your savasana on this grounded right side. Sense that left top side. And that right bottom side. In both halves together. Sense into the center of your being and breathe here into the belly. Perhaps after the inhale, you pause. Feel the still point before you exhale. Perhaps again pause. Inhale. Pause. And exhale. Pause. Just notice what effect this has. To explore this at your own pace. Finish one more round. Whenever you're done, you can return to long, deep breathing. And now, begin to bring awareness into the body.
Perhaps wiggle and shift. Rock the body until you're ready. Perhaps on an exhale to press yourself up to seated. Roll shoulders. Arms might reach overhead as you bring them through to heart center. Hope you enjoyed your practice. Thank you for joining me on your mat today. Satnam.